Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, I hope you're all good. So, we're back for another episode of High Gain Harmony. This is episode number 6. This is the YouTube series I created where basically I go about trying out a pair of high gain amplifiers. We're starting with high gain, we might move out of high gain eventually one day. But we start with a pair of high gain amplifiers and see how well they blend together. We've done a bunch of combinations now, things like 5150 and Soldano, 5150 and VX100 Kraken, Soldano and Super Kraken. I think we've done the Marshall and the Kraken, Marshall and 5150 as well. So there's loads we've done. And in this episode, I wanted to do the Mezza Barba MZero 100 Overdrive with the Victory VX100 Super Kraken. The reason that I wanted to do this pair is because I've had an ongoing issue with noise in my studio when using certain dual amplifier rigs. Some of you may have seen this on my Instagram story. Well, I have found a solution thanks to a guy called Jonathan Ming who recommended that I put a line isolator in the effects loop of one of the amps, particularly the amp that's causing the issue. So the MZero 100 was giving me loads of noise when I was running it on high gain. So whenever I added the overdrive, it was just giving me like a whistle. I think I heard it was called parasitic tube squeal, something to do with the way the effects loop and the effects accumulate this feedback loop that just builds up and builds up and builds up, and you can't get away from it basically. What I've done is put the Layla P split, the high impedance splitter, in the effects return of the Mezza Barba, but I've also got the EB Tech hum eliminator that's hitting the front of both amplifiers. So I'm line isolating the front of each amp and I'm isolating the effects loop of the Mezza Barba. One thing I would probably end up doing is getting a second P-split and line isolating the other effects loop just so everything is isolated. Right, well with the technical spiel out of the way, going back to it, I'm running the MZero 100 Overdrive, which is a hand-built Italian boutique, awesome high-gain fire-breathing amplifier with the VX100 Super Kraken from Victory Amps, which I'm sure if you watch my YouTube channel, you know by now. It's an absolutely amazing high-gain amplifier, if I do say so myself. And I figured it'd be really nice to pair these two because I can start using it. So, got the gig rig board set up with the Strymon, the Strifecta, bunch of different stomp boxes. I'm actually employing the JHS Bonsai now because you can switch between so many different types of tube screamer. Thought it was a really cool way of working out which ones work for different amplifiers and so on and so forth. So let's crack on. If the colour of this video has changed in any way, it's because I forgot to turn on one of the lights, so I apologise for that. Alright then, let's get into some tones. So if you've noticed, I'm using this brand new, absolutely stunning ML3 Beer Carthus Burst from Chapman Guitars. It's my signature model. This is a production line version. I got to pick this out at Anderton's. That's the guitar we're using. Let me give you an idea of the signal chain. So, as always, I'm running 2 amps. Each one goes into its own Sur-Reactive Load IR load box, but I'm not using any of the IRs built in. I'm running unfiltered out of each one into Logic, and then I'm running an instance of the brand new Get Good Jump Studio Cabs Cali edition because it's fantastic if you've not heard of it yet. In case you wondered, I'm running the guttural cab with a 57 on the VX100 and the massive cab with a 57 on the MZero 100 Overdrive. I just want to hear how these two blend with lower gain, and then of course we'll move into the meat and potatoes of this video. Okay, let's start out with each amp in isolation before we blend them. So this is the VX100 on like a crunch. With a quick push clean thing. Pretty cool. Right, and now let's move on to the MZero 100. And now both amps together. So one thing I want to point out is the VX100 has way more low end than a lot of amplifiers, in case you've noticed. It's why the amp I always blend it with almost sounds arguably a little bit smaller in comparison. It's just the way that the VX is tuned. Really like the chunk it offers, which is why it has such an intense amount of thickness to it. And now this is the push clean. So now let's throw on some reverb and delay. It's just never not great when you throw on the Strymon stuff into a dual amp rig. It's just never not great. One thing that I keep thinking about here is that the effects loop level, I feel like the Victory effects loop level is like really loud. Maybe I'm just used to it because I usually run two Victories or different Victory pairs, and I guess their effects loop levels are the same volume. But now that I've paired this with, and it's probably not fair to compare with like the SLO because that has an effects loop blend on it, as does the Rev. So I think inherently that causes them not to be maybe as loud. I think the 5150 one is louder than the VX100, but this one again, the MZero, it's like quieter. It's almost like there's way less of it if you listen. Like you get way more out of that side than you do the other side. So I really love that tone. Again, this is high gain harmony, so we won't stick on it for long, but one thing I like to do here is like take that split coil tone, add some compression to it. So this is without. With. Another thing that might be nice to try here, because it's a sort of thick kind of crunch tone. Throw on a tube scream and see what happens. One more pedal before we move on to high gain, but it does take us into the realm of high gain. I just want to hear how my beloved Thunderclaw sounds on this tone. So this is without it. Okay, so let's move on to the high gain now. So I'll show you the VX100 on its own first. And now this is the MZero 100. And now both together. That's really good. Straight up, it's like, I don't know how to describe that. It's got the thickness, the beefiness, and again, like the Mezza's a bit more sizzly in the top, so the two together. Yes. It's a really nice tone to play. There's a nice amount of gain. I wouldn't say it's a ridiculous amount, but enough. And the pick attack sounds really good. I'm absolutely loving this. So let's just see what happens with the Tube Screamer, of course, because it's high gain. So. Right, Tube Screamer, it's on the TS9. I'm just going to move it to the TS808. Actually, this combo benefits from not having that low mid bump that the TS9 has. That is an absolutely epic sound with the reverb and delay, I have to admit. With the Tube Screamer on as well. Saw a couple of comments in the last few episodes saying why aren't you using your baritone, and I have no good reason for that. It just wasn't in the studio at the time, so I brought one up for this video. So straight in. Let's throw on the Tube Screamer. Oh, that is addictive. got a bit sweaty with the riffage. So right before we end this episode, I wanted to put the push clean sound back in with the reverb and delay and some compression and try out the Strat. I've got some new pickups in here, some single coils. So let's see how it sounds. Okay, that about wraps it up for this episode of High Gain Harmony. I hope you enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought this combination was really good. The Victory works with pretty much everything. It works as an amplifier that you can put pedals in front of, a recording amplifier, a blending amplifier. I mean, part of its remit was to be able to blend with other amplifiers, because I use them in stereo. But it never fails to impress me. So I just, it's a given that the Victory Super Kraken is a beast. No pun intended, but it's more interesting to find out all these other amplifiers that kind of blend really well. Because interestingly, it doesn't have presence or depth. Those are kind of preset. So some people argue that it sounds quite dark and all the rest of it. But if it did, then it would sound completely weird against other amplifiers such as these that have so much fizz and top end, like in a good way. Like the 5150, the Mezza Barba and the Soldano. It just blends really well with all of them. I think it adds the chunk and the girth because it's got so much like low end and low end power that I think it just sort of beds in around any other tone you blend with it. But anyway, the Mezza Barba, now that I can play it without having disgusting amounts of noise, I'm loving it. I am loving blending it with anything really. But to be fair, with this, it was fantastic for the lead tone was super 80s hair metal. Basically, the Mezza Barba is the 80s hair metal shred amp, right? It can do modern and heavy, as you heard. But really, where I feel like it really shines is the feel for playing you kind of Nuno, Paul Gilbert, that era of shred. I don't tend to do as much nowadays, but I really love doing it. And when it feels authentic like that, it's great fun. There you go. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode, if you're enjoying High Gain Harmony still. And of course, what you'd like to see next. I'm sure the eagle eyes out there have noticed the Friedman twin sister sat there. It's my newest acquisition. So that will be getting put into this pool, even though it's not really a high gain amp, but it can do it. So we'll try that. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below. I'll link the amps in the description box. If you like this content and if you like my channel, please hit subscribe, hit the little notification bell if you want to see more videos. And of course, if you want to check out anything else I'm involved in, check the description box for things like signature guitars, pickups, picks, my merch company, Sleepless Apparel, if you want to check out any of that stuff. Don't know why I'm remembering to say it in this video and I'd never say it in any of the others. It's probably because I have remembered this time. But anyway, check it out. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, and share. I've been Rabea, and I will see you all very soon.